Spit on the voice. Alright, I'm recording. This is recording. Fucking is! Welcome back to
6 months later.
Hello, welcome to the Brotherly Love podcast. This is season 2, the revamped version. We are here live within the Brotherhood Wholeness Centre waiting room / podcasting studio. We have with us Mr. Adam Green.
Hello.
Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you.
Good to be here. And we also have Mr. Cato Sibthorpe.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, good to be back. Here we are.
Good to be back.
Behind the mic. We also have our podcasting, editing, social media marketing legend extraordinaire, Kai Katizi. No one knows how to pronounce his last name, but I call him Kai Katizi. Cortese. I like Cortese.
It ain't easy being Cortese, baby.
Yeah.
He'll be our Jamie off the Joe Rogan, like, hey, Kai, pull it up. Pull that shit up.
That's what I like that.
Hey, Katizi.
Yo, Cortese. Anyway, we're back here. We've got. It's been 6 months since we have been live with a podcast release episode, whatever. Since within the last 6 months, holy fuck.
Yep. Yeah.
There's been a bit going on where we've secured our own physical location here at 4/4 Hutchinson Street in Burleigh Heads. If you don't know where we're located, scope us out and jump into a session and see what we're all about. So we've now just made this room. It was going to be designated for yoga, but we've put a curtain up in the middle of it, broke it and divided it into 2 separate spaces. One's going to be for an entrepreneurial lounge where people can work during the day. And now we've got this area for, a waiting room, but also a podcasting studio. How good.
How good.
Jinx.
Can't go wrong.
Yeah. I guess I'd love to, before we go into Brotherhood and further talk on everything that's been happening here, it'd be nice to update people on our personal lives and where everything has what's changed for us in our personal lives in the last 6 months. So, Adam Green, head coach of Brotherhood, what's been prevalent in your life? What's the great first of all, what's been prevalent in your life of recent, and then we can go into what's your greatest lesson over the last 6 months?
Extremely personal.
How deep can we go?
How deep is your love?
Oh, such a good tune.
Banger, eh? We were singing that this morning, weren't we? All right, 6 months. The last 6 months, what's been happening? The biggest thing was I decided to enjoy running.
Who would have thought?
Who would have thanked it? Who would have thunked it? I started enjoying running and endurance sports. The biggest thing over the last 6 months was my big triumphant mountain run, and that was just what I thought about for the last many moons. In personal life has been a lot of growth, but a lot of just softening and opening up, I think. As funny as that sounds.
No, it's just, if I may, is because from the outset, no one would think that, and then when you said, oh yeah, what's been on my mind of recent, and you talked about, oh, that's been on my mind a lot, that run, but geez, if that was on your mind a lot, you certainly didn't showcase it very well. Because everyone's just like, oh yeah, he's went for a few runs and he's jumped into a 100-kilometre ultra run and ran it in 17 hours and just no one.
I think that definitely deserves a bit of a story there for sure.
Yeah, and well done, congratulations.
Yeah,
brother.
100%.
Honestly,
Absolutely.
that's like legendary. The hybrid athlete.
I'll give it a little story.
Please.
Went to a mega run, ran 10Ks, thought that wasn't too bad. That went pretty well. So signed up.
Run 100.
Signed up to a half marathon. Forgot that was coming up. So I signed up with a mate. Forgot it was coming up. It came up on the weekend. I was like, all right, I'll quickly go. I came third. It was pretty wild. So I'm like, okay, well, there's a 100-kilometre run coming up. We'll sign up for that. And throughout the few months leading up to that, went for a few mountain runs, which were really pretty hard. I went with Dom. Dom's fit as anything. And I just...
Dom Morrisini, big love. He's currently over in, where did he say?
Milan currently.
Milan.
Yep.
Big love to that man.
Big love to Milan. Anyway, one of the runs I honestly... Both quads cramped up and I was on the ground like dragging myself up this hill and it was real windy and trees were coming down. No joke, trees were coming down. I thought I was going to die. Anyway, I did a few more and we went and ran it and the 100 was just an awesome run. It was, 16 hours and 54 minutes pretty much by myself.
Wow.
In my own head, just running, walked at times, ran at times. I forced myself to cry at one point, not because like I was sad, but I was running real slow and I thought, emotion really charges you to get really excited and run. But I wasn't really feeling anything other than just like, oh, this is hard.
What song did you have playing in your earlobes at that point? Or eardrums?
René Lefeur. Like You Love Me.
Like You Love
Like
Me.
I Love you. I just said it wrong. Like I Love you.
Good tune. René
good tune.
Lefeur. He's now part of Brotherhood. Thriving.
Yeah. Awesome, man. A bit of Dean Lewis, a bit of Lewis Capaldi. I stirred up a little bit of emotions like that I thought I could stir up, so I just lived vicariously through those songs. Had a little tear come out and then kept running, but I was just pretty much the whole time I was just so happy. I was like, it sucked, but I was so happy on the run, and that just got me through it. So now we're gonna go do the 100-miler.
Naturally.
Yeah.
Natural progression.
Yeah.
Why not?
Anyway, got into running. That's
Yeah.
been the last 6 months.
Yeah. And
It's exciting.
if we can just add a little bit onto that as well, is like, what's the thing that's like you love the most from running long distance? Like, what encourages you, what motivates you to go bigger each and every time? What motivates you to do that? Because not a lot of people go, yeah, I'm so keen to run more now that
Yeah,
I've just
exactly.
absolutely obliterated myself. Because like,
Most people's like, that's a tick off the list.
Yeah.
Done.
and
That's
speaking
it.
of ticking things off the list, I would get Instagram notifications from Adam Green with another soldier down because he'd be pulling his toenails off because they're just like, well, they're falling off.
Yeah.
You know, it's like that you beat yourself up. And I know Dom had his feet were swollen to the nines, and it took like 3 days for them to finally come back to normality and homeostasis. But
That's hectic.
it's you put yourself through a lot of pain and agony to complete something like that. Why would
I
you wanna
like
do it?
to suffer voluntarily.
Mm.
I like to put myself in these hard things like as a choice. I've chosen this because if I know I can voluntarily go and suffer to this crazy level where everything just wants to stop, when life does throw involuntary suffering at me, I know that I can handle this. Like, I can do this. Like, I've done worse voluntarily. So now that I've done all these things that were quite suffering times, when the things come up that I don't choose to be a part of, I don't choose to, have suffering put on me, but it just has to because that's the world we live in. I'm like, all right, I've suffered like this before. I can suffer like this pretty easily and get through it. So I like the mental cave you put yourself in those situations where the world might be hurting, everything's hurting, your whole body's hurting, but you can be like, I've done worse, I've had rougher days, we can get through this.
That's my favourite tattoo of yours, by the way, as well. Rougher days right on the back of the arm. I think
Yeah.
that's so good. It's, rougher days are behind us. That's
Yeah.
how I view it anyway. But
I enjoy the suffering. It's
Yeah,
fun. It's
yeah.
cool to be like, fucking, I just did that.
Yeah.
beautiful.
Well, that's great.
Let's
Good 6 months.
yeah.
Not a bad 6 months to have.
Not bad. Fred and I aged beautifully in the last 6 months.
You really have. Before you went and dyed your hair yesterday, you
look.
guys really did look. And maybe he'll start going blonder now as he morphs into you and you become one.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
That's
blood
exciting.
and
It
bone.
How good.
Cato
6
Sibthorpe,
months.
6 months. What has been prevalent in your life over the last 6 months?
Well, I didn't run 100 kilometres. But no, business mostly for me, actually.
Yeah.
I think business and relations has been pretty big for me last 6 months. Massive growth. I think I think because business, when you do it by yourself, it's such like, it's I can imagine it'd be like the run. You haven't got people in your ear telling you what to do, and the only person responsible for the results you get is you. And that's a tough process.
Oh fuck
That's
yeah.
a tough process. And you can't ever come out the other side and blame anyone for anything. So that's been a big process for me. A lot of work on the Movement Academy. The whole goal there is to just get a residual income. That's always been the goal since I was 18 years old. I've always thought, wow, people can work and actually not have to get, not have to go to work if they have a residual income. So that's been the goal. That's going well. I think this year I will get the first taste of my residual, which is really exciting.
Wow.
Which is really, really good. So that's
Good on you,
going
brother.
great. And then on to other businesses after that. But life after was a very exciting process. Really, really good for me. My dream was always to work with the young fellas. Because when I came out of high school, I didn't have much support at all. I left high school and moved out of home straight away. And my dad was away overseas, and all the male mentors in my life I didn't even know existed. Knew nothing about masculinity, nothing about femininity, and just tried to go out and do it on my own and study in a a degree that I didn't even know if it was for me or not, but I just opened a book and said, oh yeah, I want to do this. This will be great. This will make so much sense. How about I just go get 110K a year in a fucking economics job? That'll be me. Economics, my worst subject. Like, that's smart, isn't it? So yeah, I just wanted to, life after was just about helping young fellas, and will probably actually be young girls in the future, just make good decisions after high school that they want to make. You know, there's a lot of pressure from parents, I think, that, you know, you got to do this or you got to do that. And I think I know that when you make a decision that you align with, you're happy. And giving young people the resilience to carry through, because I did not have resilience when I was younger. No way. Nothing like what I do have now. And I think it's important to teach those young guys to get some resilience in what they do want to do, because choosing what you want and knowing what you want is one thing, and then following through is another thing. You know, so
100%.
Last 6 months has been a roller coaster for me. It's been a very awesome 6 months. Some great people have come into my life. I'm very happy to be back here sitting on the podcast lounge. My mind is ready to open and explore some cool concepts and conversations.
Can I provide a little bit of context as well? Because so there's 3 of us on this podcast now, and Adam and I are going to show up on behalf of Brotherhood. And although Cato is wearing a Brotherhood shirt and is a member of Brotherhood as well, you're wanting to represent as a part of this Life After program, which is helping young guys to sort of bridge the gap from school and
into life. The mission statement is to create clarity and confidence in life after school for young men. That's it. Clarity and confidence.
Yeah. And is it purely for young men?
At the moment it is, for sure, but there's a massive calling in these schools for young women as well. And I think it's massive, because, you know, there's so many young men and young women who don't know anything about, for me, one of the big causes is masculinity and femininity. Young girls aren't being taught how to be young girls, and young guys aren't being taught how to be young guys and develop into young men and young women. You know, so yeah, at some point, being able to do young women, I think, will be awesome. I know that it's needed, and we'll do a great job of it, and I'm excited for that to happen this year as well. Yeah, nice. So there's a few plugs underway. So it's very exciting.
No, that's awesome. I think it's brilliant, and it's something that we encourage here at Brotherhood is the power of collaboration. I feel like that's getting over. I feel like that's the real shift that we're 100%. Experiencing around here. And someone said this morning about the Gold Coast being like this, such a thriving.
Jai.
Was it Jai? Yeah. He said he moved up from Melbourne 1 month ago, and he's never experienced anything like it. Like, the vibe. Say that. The vibe is different here.
So many people say that.
Man. And it's the weather.
You reckon?
Well,
I reckon it's a big part of it. Yeah.
The sun being out, the environment. Everyone's warm. So you want to be outside. It's warm, so you're not wearing many clothes. So the first thing you want to do is get in shape. Yeah. Once you start getting into shape, you start thinking, all right, I can improve my body. Yeah. My mind is improving. Yeah. My business is improving. I start to improve in every other area. Well, that's just like a total string together theory, but I think it does help.
Well, I got something there as well. Like, I think that's very true, but I've also heard there's ley line. Like, the Gold Coast runs through a ley line, and ley lines are essentially these big spiritual energetic lines of, like, where there's a lot of energy. Yeah, they go run around the world. You should look up ley lines, like Ley lines, ley lines.
Ley lines.
Bring it up, Jamie.
No, Kai, we love you.
Yeah. And apparently Gold Coast sits on one. So
like Burleigh's got that.
I feel
Burleigh has got that.
I truly believe in that as well, and that could add as well. What I personally believe is a massive contributing factor towards such a thriving high vibrational frequency that everyone's emitting from here is the fact that, like we said about the collaboration there, that means that everyone's willing to collaborate rather than compete, which means they don't cast judgment, or they know that casting judgment doesn't serve anyone. It's like, so let's hold gratitude for that person's success, and we can dive into that question later on about Luke Marsden put to us. But we can hold gratitude, which is a high vibrational frequency, and help support when someone comes and says, "Hey, I'm going to do this idea," rather than people cutting them down and saying, "No, you can't do that." Rather, giving them the positive affirmations back to say, "Yeah, pursue that," and let them figure out their own journey, rather than having someone belittle them and tell them that they can't for their own beliefs or something, you know. So so that when that breeds that healthy collaborative environment, it's like that zero judgment is like, that is what we're mitigating or reducing.
Anything is possible.
Yeah. And let someone figure it out for themselves rather than you pointing your projections at them saying they can't.
Question for you, Guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Last 6 months, I totally
Yes.
forgot we opened this place in 6 months. Like,
Yeah.
it's been longer than that.
All right.
It feels
I should
like
mention
you
that.
have had this place open way longer.
Yeah.
Has it even been 6 months?
It's been 6 months. I was living in here for 6 months. Moved out last week.
Very impressive.
High five.
Thanks to Joe Turner.
Whoa, that's a hard angle.
Yeah, it is. Let's go again.
Oh, God.
Let's go that one.
Have
Nice.
you seen that
High five.
video of those people trying to like shake hands and they're like, there's 3 of them on stage and they're like,
Yeah, it's John Key, bro. I'm pretty sure. And John
And
Key
they
just
end up
comes in
going
and these guys are having a handshake, and then John Key just like grabs onto both their hands and shakes it. It's like the most awkward thing ever.
Last 6 months, Guy, what's happened?
Lived in this gym, finally out. Thanks to Joe Turner, shout out. He is a legend. He's coming on the like kind of back ends of Brotherhood and helping out with the systems, because my goodness, when you're talking about the struggles of business and like kind of doing it, not yourself. You've always got support around you, right? But it's like, I don't know. I found like
everything falls on you.
I got boxed in, man. Like in here, and everyone had access to me, and I was massive people pleaser and like trying to satisfy everyone. And I found myself getting into a really interesting spot, considering like the mindset and stuff like that, because everyone's sort of like, oh, this is what you need to be doing. This is what you need to be doing. And so it's like more stuff was getting added to a plate that was already full, and I'm like, and then I started getting overwhelmed. Like, fuck, how do I help this? And that's why the podcast has been absent as well, because while this has been all getting set up and finally we're in a position now we're able to do this, thank God. But yeah, that was a big struggle for me. It's just like learning boundaries and also just accept, like I had this kind of epiphany last week, I realized, where it's like I felt like I was losing touch to my spiritual essence, because I know that in my awakening back in New Zealand, like it was so awesome. I was just like thriving off that, but then suddenly you use this, and I define spirituality as like your inner connection to yourself, like how well you know yourself. And so like I knew myself pretty well at that point, and then it was through that it conceived Brotherhood alongside yourself.
So interesting that happened for you. Like you come in here, you get it all sorted out, and then you went through that like death again, like that loss of like in this. And it's funny, like you finally manifested the thing that was like the community and the thing, and then it's just like.
But I felt more dissociated to myself. Like
that's
honestly,
so interesting.
It's like I felt like initially Brotherhood like embodied me, and then I felt like suddenly I was being embodied by Brotherhood. Yeah. And it was such a
death and rebirth.
Yeah. And just last week I came to like the surrender piece. I feel like where it's like the forgiveness. It's like, oh, maybe it's just like your spiritual essence was used to conceive this, and now you're just having to dance in the physical, and that's okay. Like for this to continue to survive and thrive, it requires being in the physical realms, and you just play that out, and then you'll get your rebirth again.
Sure.
Yeah, so it's patience as well.
I fucking get that for sure.
Yeah, do you?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so that's big one, and then relationship with Georgia, that's been like awesome as well, and but there's been so many challenges through that as well, and my own sort of inadequacy or like feeling like but like through that came, we're in such a good place now, and I'm so excited. We go to New Zealand in 2 or 3 weeks, so that'll be interesting. But yeah, what has been your greatest lesson in the past 6 months, Adam Green?
Greatest lesson in the past 6 months, I think patience is definitely a big one, but just understanding that time and effort will bring you anything you need or anything you want. Time and effort, and consistency is like amongst that. Like if you just need to consistently put in the effort over a long enough period of time, you'll get what you want. Just it might not be instant, and nothing is ever like, there's rarely anything that's like instantly received that's good, like great.
Instant gratification.
Yeah, like I think time and effort, if you just constantly put in the effort over a long enough period, you're going to get what you want. So, and pretty much what you get is a direct reflection of what you put in. The effort you put in will show what you receive, and that kind of over the last few months as well, we've kind of had a few people say like, oh, you guys are looking bigger and better shape and stuff. And I just remember looking back to like when I was 20, 18, 19, I was kind of like, oh yeah, I'm doing well, but like I'm not where I want to be. But if I compare like the two of us now, it's just like over a long enough period of time, things have just started to change where I can do so much more and a lot stronger physically and mentally, just because like these things take time. Like, you can't rush this kind of stuff. Like all growth takes time. So at that age when I was trying to just get it straight away, I realized like I didn't know at the time, like, just gotta be patient. So I think patience is a big thing, but yeah, consistently working over a long enough period, you'll get what you want.
That's beautiful. Yeah.
I definitely see that in you as well. Like, you've been very, very consistent. You know what I mean? Like, you know, when you look at a few people in your life and you're like, who's been real consistent? You've been very consistent. Like I look at it in terms of like I think consistent action is one thing. Like, I think a lot of people have consistent action, but you have consistent attitude. Both of you actually have very consistent attitude. Like, for example, if I come to a session, I know I'm going to get a certain energy from you. I don't have to be like, what type of Adam am I going to get today? What type of guy? I always know I'm going to get a certain type of you from you. So you could be feeling like not great, but you don't show it. And I think that's a real skill. Fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Are you swearing on the podcast?
And it's, fucking oath.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck.
I know that. And when you said as well, because you right at the start, you said you've been diving more into yourself, or what was that? What was the language you used? But I know that it was, and you spoke with me about it, like quite honestly and vulnerably as well, as like being amongst a group of men and always having to show up as he does, as Adam does. But there's also that fear of like you can't show that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't show that.
It's the both. It's
now
like,
I'm doing the quotation marks weaker side of you. But
yeah, I'd get that.
That's
and
the thing. You go ahead.
No, I'll let you explain it. Yeah.
It's the thing, like, if I'm constantly rocking up to lead this whatever it is, the workouts, lead the groups. If I'm coming as a leader, I need to lead from the front. So if I want them to embody this aggressively optimistic, excited man, I have to bring that in lead. I can't go in and say, you guys need to be happier and work harder. I can't rock up and not, be as happy as I can and not work as hard as I can. You got to lead from the front, and that's like my core values is leading men to their highest values by embodying my core, the highest selves by embodying my core values.
It's embodiment, hey?
Yeah.
It's you embodying your truth.
And the thing is, like, I can't always be vulnerable with them. I know it's great to be vulnerable, but you need to choose who to be vulnerable in front of. It's one of those things.
With
I get that.
Like us, I can confide in you guys because I know I'll have, a space to do so. I'll have support, but I can't always go to those guys and just, open up onto them because it's not their responsibility to, help me.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be the leader for them.
For sure. 9 times out of 10, they're relying on you.
Yeah. And at the same time, though, I'm just fucking optimistic all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
That's just I'm just aggressively optimistic all the time. So
and that's testament to the consistency part as well in the other parts of your life that you do that make you have that baseline all the time. Like it takes a lot of effort.
Like in the runs, it's like when you compare, a 100-kilometer run to something that's like, it just gives you so much threshold. You know what I mean? Like, I can overcome this much adversity. Adversity, thank you. So when it comes to something that seems like a blink on the radar, like just so minor, it's like, this unfazes me.
I was listening to David Goggins actually the other day, and he said that it was scientifically proven for people who kept a more optimistic attitude to get through things better. Like if you had something really hard and you had a positive mindset, you'd get so much further. So makes
positive energy is always going to trump negative energy. Like if you do go into something with like a fear of failure or a negative attitude, like I have to get this done, versus you go in with a positive attitude, excited, and like I want to get this done, you'll always come out on top. You always come out on top.
That's awesome.
And Cato Sibthorpe would have been
kind of similar. I'm actually working on the consistency thing is. I feel like I'm really learning that. But the consistency in action for me has been really good. But the consistency in attitude is definitely something I aspire to be. You know what I mean? And I think that's just a developmental thing. But the biggest thing this year I reckon has been commitment. Commitment's something that I've really struggled with for ages, like with so many different things, because I always found that I would let my feelings dictate how much energy I put into something, whether it be like my relationship or my business or my body. And I didn't understand commitment because I would always commit when I felt like it, and then I would uncommit and, you know, make excuses as to why I was like, oh no, I don't feel like it. Therefore, maybe it's not right for me because I don't feel good about it anymore. This doesn't make sense. And I was so convinced that, like, to find the thing, it had to feel good. And it was a really hard lesson for me to go, actually, it's got nothing to do with feelings. Sometimes it really is hard work. Like doing the things that are hard, that you know you need to do, and working on that. And once I committed and focused on that vision every day, in the good feelings and the bad feelings, everything got way easier. My business started working. I fully committed on the movement and said, this is what I'm doing. I will do this. Like, I will. And that's been really big for me because as soon as I could say I will, I feel like I've changed a lot, because I found that when I stopped listening to my feelings, or not listening to them, but when I stopped letting them run my decisions, that's when I could go, oh, okay, I know I'm going to get this job done. I said I would get it done. So I've had a lot more integrity in the last 6 months with myself, which feels good. And I'm not so concerned with what other people think about me, because I used to think I was real good with not caring what people thought, but I actually wasn't. I actually cared a fuckload about what people thought of me. And the more committed I came to my journey, the more I realized people are going to disagree and have different ways of living. And if I could commit through that, you know, judgment of other people, then I could actually start like respecting myself a lot more, which was really important for me. So I would say commitment was my big lesson, and I'm still in the process of that, but you know, and I think on a level, we all commit to things to a certain degree. You know, I think everyone has committed to something to a percentage. Like, oh yeah, but I'm 10% committed to this. Yeah, I'm still committed, like deep down in my heart. Well, what about at the forefront of your heart? Are you committed out in your sleeve, or are you committed deep inside your bones? Like, it's like, how committed are you? And I think it's a scale. So I've just been more and more committed to the things that I know that I want to do, regardless of how I feel. So that's been it
was like your commitment was expanding there. It's like your degree of expansion.
Yeah, you know, it's like, no, I can do this. Like confidence, I can do this, and I will do this. And I will prove to myself, not to other people. Because I really proved to other people for a long time. Proved to other people, competing with other people. And I'm very competitive, and learning how to turn that inwards has been a real big lesson, you know, oh, this person's earning this much money, or this person's doing this, or this person's doing that. It's like, I actually would rather just be proud of myself compared to myself, not be proud of myself compared to other people. And I can talk with such like volition and passion right now because like I'm currently going through that, and I feel like I am understanding it. I know that I've got a lot to learn there still, but I do have the understanding of where commitment can take me. And like when things get painful now, I just don't run away. You know, I actually go, and that's thanks to mentors. You know, I've had good mentors and good people around me, you know what I mean? Like good people that pull you up. You guys obviously like pull me up and shit. My housemates pull me up on stuff. It's just good people, environment. So,
and it's not because they're trying to. It's not because they're trying to change you either. It's because they see the best in you, and it's like, look, it's love. It's love.
That's the best kind of friend. Is the ones that never pull you up on anything. They're not friends. They're just there to kind of like be in your presence, have you in their presence even. The ones that say, hey, like, I know you can do better. Why aren't you doing better? They're the best kind of friends. If your friends aren't pulling you up on the shit you're letting slip, then you should reevaluate your friends.
For sure. And it shows you where their standards are at for themselves as well.
Legit. It shows you where they're like what they want from you as well. If they're not wanting more from you, what do they want from you? They just want you to, so they can yarn to or something. If they want
so continue to pull them down. Have you
feel
slumped to their standard?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I just want to acknowledge you on that, like big, powerful share, and and I see it in you as well. Like I see how you're showing up, and
there's a shift in you.
There's a massive shift.
Feels good for sure.
Good on you, brother.
Thank you. Good to be back.
In all areas too. Relationship.
All areas happen with commitment. Every single, and I found actually, for me, it was when I committed to my relationship. It was relationship first, then the business came easily, and my health came easily. Because I'm all about being like same thing when I was 18, I realized I just want to be the best man I can. And I think some people go from I want to be the best man in business or best man in health or best man in relationships. I've always been big on relationships and big on like, how can I, create a better relationship? And that's been quite difficult because usually when something's going wrong in the relationship, I instantly default, I'm responsible. How can I change this and fix this? So that's, yes, but committing to that process has really been like the most change for me.
Good on you.
So yeah, fun process.
It's a big process, hey? Yeah, for sure.
Guysy.
Yeah, thank you for your share. Mine... It's so funny. When we go back 6 months ago, and I remember the episode with Zeph where I just didn't understand empathy. And fuck me, do I understand it now?
You used to always say that.
Yeah.
You used to always say, I don't understand it, I don't do it.
I honestly, and I lay this down because my brother recently separated from his longest relationship that's now say that's an air quotes conscious relationship, because every relationship should be conscious, but somehow it's like branded differently because it's like you're more aware of your emotions or you communicate more openly and transparently, I believe. Now he just recently separated, and I was able to empathise with him because there I am empathising because he separated from his partner, and initially he felt nothing. It was easy for him. Like he was saying, he helped load the bags into the car to watch her leave. Didn't stop her, or that was his opportunity as a man to really stand up and fight if he wanted to, but he just allowed it happen. And then he said, yeah, blah blah blah, and I said, because of my personal experience, I said, you wait for it to land, brother. You wait for it to land. And then he called me about 7 days later, and he had bawled his eyes out, and he said, it's landed. Yeah, it's landed. And it's like, that's heartbreak. And when I know Tyron did a workshop with us, and he talked about like your emotional scale, it's like because I believe heartbreak is also the inverted side of that, helps you to realize just how deeply in love you were with this person, right? It's like you were at this end, and now holy fuck, that experience from baseline to now I'm feeling this down at this end of the spectrum. It's like, wow, I must have been way up here. And so, so he's now realized how deep it was, and now the heartbreak, he's now able to alchemize into a thing of gratitude. It's like, oh wow, like I was in love there. Like I've experienced and felt love, and it's a beautiful thing. And I had the exact same experience because Georgia and I almost came to a bit of a collapse like in July last year, and it was like the day before we were supposed to sign for this place. And I'd given up. I'd given up on the relationship. I'd sort of thought, oh yeah, this is it. Like it's going to end now. And then she was in the car, and I hope she's okay with me sharing this, by the way. Love you, Georgia. And she's like, why aren't you feeling anything? She's crying. And I'm like, it's because I'd just given up. I was like not willing to allow it to land. Like I wasn't in touch with my emotions. Like I hadn't. And then just that day, and yeah, I had smoked a little bit of weed. I thought this is the last time we're going to spend with each other. Like I'd already given up, and I smoked a little bit of weed, and it must have just enabled me to drop into my senses and my emotions that much easier. And then I just had this clear vision of sitting in this gym. The walls were still pink because we had just signed for it, and I was going to deposit $18,343 that day. And I had this vision, and I was sitting on a seat like that one there, right in the middle of the gym, looking out, and it was a vision of me just looking miserable, and just like, and I just asked the question, I'm like, for what? For what? And it's like, I just had it was not that I rely on Georgia to be in with my life to have purpose about going about my way of thinking, but it was definitely a piece of myself that was missing, and I didn't like that. And then boom, it fucking hit, and my heart just wrenched down like it's heartbreak. Like the heart is an organ, it is there to pump blood, but my God, does it have a secondary purpose, and it's there to feel pain, or it's there to feel the utmost love. And that is when I experienced empathy, because I could feel the way that I had had broken George's heart, and I could feel into her emotion, and so empathy, like discovering empathy, has now allowed me to go about my life in a whole different light and way of life, and it's a really
That's so powerful.
it's a powerful emotion, man.
I bet that grew your business as well.
Oh fuck, man! Like from there, like it did so many things, because like you don't have to feel into someone, like you don't have to experience what someone else's suffering is in order for you to be able to feel or like understand or to empathize with them, is like forming an understanding on what they must be feeling like, and then and then you can convert it into compassion, and then you're able to come from a mutual understanding and really like offer support for that person or whatever. But that for me, that was the biggest, amidst the copious amounts of lessons that I learned. But that for me was just fuck. Yeah, it's a really nice thing to be able to feel. It's funny how you can say now it's a nice thing to be able to feel, but like it's a great emotion to be able to have. Yeah. With that, do we want to dive into
That's a good story.
Some questions.
I
Yeah.
reckon that's going to get people listening in their hearts for sure.
Yeah, and
Drop me straight into mine. I get that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
a great story.
I was on Andy Bentley's podcast yesterday. Thank you, Andy Bentley. And when you talk about at the start, you were talking about feminine and masculine, and she said, "And what determines like your feminine and masculine? Like what's the qualities or something?" And it's just, and then her podcast is called Attitudes with Andy, and I gave my attitude towards it. You know, like I spoke my truth on it, and it's a sensitive topic. Do you know what I mean? Masculine and feminine, and because it's like, why aren't we all just one? Why can't we just be the same? But it's like we have to have that polarity in order for.
And I think masculine and feminine, people think masculine is man and feminine is woman.
Yeah,
it's
legit.
Not. It's not at
Yeah.
all. And I think that's what needs to be. It's an interesting word to use it like that. That's what you need to separate them.
Yeah.
Even though we use them together all the time, and
yeah.
they work so well together.
Yeah, we could dive right into that, and maybe that's a time for another podcast. But I reflected on that, and I thought, I wish I'd just been honest and said, look, right now, I can't give you the answer that, you know, I'm honestly going to have to think on this. Like, I don't have a specific answer for you, because then I started diving into like roles within a functioning and healthy dynamic world of like a man being a man and a woman being a woman, and like
We've got some questions from the community. This person said, my question, when running Brotherhood, is being an inclusive community important to you? Why? ? If yes, how can you promote inclusiveness, and what does inclusiveness mean to you? Anyway, smiley face emoji. We're a very inclusive, the only part we're not inclusive to is women, obviously, because it's a men's group. But we're inclusive to all men far and wide. It's important to us to be inclusive because I think that the work we do can help all men far and wide, and we don't want to exclude any man.
And it goes against our values of like that judgment.
Compassion.
It's that judgment. Yeah,
Yeah.
compassion. Yeah, it's like everyone is seen as an equal, and that's why everyone's so able to come in here and feel so welcomed and not judged and included, you know. And even Andy Bentley said yesterday, she's like, all your guys within Brotherhood are just the best guys. Like, I've never felt so much more loved, so much more safe, and of course you're going to feel that way because you're not judged. You are not wronged for showing up as your most authentic self. And it's giving permission for that to be okay, because we've been shunned in the past to say, hey, no, you can't do that. You can't feel that way. And it's like, that is not encouraged here whatsoever.
It's great. And I think a big
what the
thing for
values.
me is why I love Brotherhood so much. It reminds me of being in the army, like everyone's kind of different, but when we're all in the uniform, everyone looks the same. When we're all working out, we're all just in like no shirt and our shorts, just sweaty. There's no like, oh man, like this guy's a CEO of this company and this guy has no job. It's all just like, we just suffered together. We're just so like, you can go out into your regular life and be totally different people, but when we're in the midst of it, we're in the hurt locker, we're all just guys getting after it, we're all sharing, opening up to each other in different ways. It's one of those things where there is no judgment because we're in this tight-knit, safe community where everyone's just there for each other, for improvement for themselves. So there's no judgment needed, and we're all just, I like how you said Andy felt really safe.
Yeah.
We're all just genuinely kind-hearted men looking to improve ourselves and improve the world. So, of course, we want to include as much people as possible because the more guys we have in Brotherhood, the better fathers, partners, brothers, you know, better male relationships there are, the better the world is.
100%.
I agree. And I even think like you guys include anyone because you realize that any man left out is like a detriment to yourself. You know what I mean? Like it's that whole weak men conversation sort of thing.
There's
like,
been conversations where it's been like, oh, do we let this guy into tribe? Like he's going to be hard work. And it's like, well, that's the mission, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Yeah. That's the we're here to create better men. We're here to, we're here to redefine the alpha male. And and just going against that would just be going against your values, your beliefs, your morals, your standards. Yeah. Beautiful, and well said.
Should we answer like this? Like, what does inclusiveness mean to you anyway? What does inclusiveness mean to you?
Zero judgment.
Easy.
Yeah, openness and understanding. Yeah.
It's just zero judgment.
Just quickly, sorry. That was good. Good length.
Yeah, cool.
It's short.
Keep it like that. Yeah.
All right. Next question comes from another guy. Why is it important for men to develop and establish their physical and intellectual competency in a group of other men? What value does this provide to society? Great question.
I believe, personally, that men will change the world. And the reason for that is because if men can come together and collaborate over that competition, then they can see each other as equals. Suddenly they become more comfortable within themselves rather than trying to get one up over their brothers. You know, I was thinking today in meditation, like you hear everyone saying, yeah, brother. And it doesn't matter what country you came from, what color your skin is, what age you are, what fitness level you're in. It's like, you are a brother. We are all the same. We've all come from the one, and we throw it around like a loose term, but it's like when you break it down, it's like, you are a brother? Like, we are related, we are of blood, we are of kin, and I think that's so beautiful. And so I believe men will change the world because men will enable women through their own comfortability within themselves. They will heal the feminine, that have been damaged, that have been led to feel unsafe by the masculine in the past, because they've either been, they've been that old stereotypical alpha male where we're redefining that to integrated men of wholeness, integrated having a healthy masculine and feminine, that they will be able to allow the woman to soften, to drop more into themselves, to feel comfortable around men rather than having to walk down the street and wonder if they're going to get picked up, stabbed, raped, whatever, like it's a thing of the past. And so the reason why Andy Bentley, for example, was able to feel so safe, like what a perfect word to say that this is the shift in men being able to collaborate and come together as equals and leverage each other and their growth, that environment can now support the growth for women to feel safe at pursuing whatever they want to do. And I've lost track of the question now, but I was going to circle back.
I'll circle back, and I think a big thing that I was thinking on yesterday is why it's so important that we do it in a group setting is because if we were to go and do this on our own, as soon as we have that feeling of pain and suffering, it is something you can regulate yourself, but someone who's external to you can't feel that. So when they're holding you accountable, they don't feel the pain and suffering. So you can be like, oh, this hurts too much, I'm going to stop. Whereas they're just like, keep going. Like we're in the gym and you guys are hurting. I'm not feeling it. So I just keep telling you to go. And that's how you push past what you believe you can do.
Past your limitations.
Past those perceived limitations, those limiting beliefs into new territory that I don't feel your pain, so I'm going to push you and push you and push you until I can't push you no more.
And I think the insecurity through the competition as well is your inability to share your success because you're afraid of someone like jumping up on top of you and getting one up on you. Whereas like I feel like that's been a lead cause towards suicide, where 75% of all suicides that occur within Australia, at least, are men. And that's through their inability to share their successes as well as their flaws. Hey, I'm feeling this way, brother. Like, hey, I'm actually feeling shit and this is going on in my life. But no, instead, like you said, there's so much you can do by yourself. But in the group setting, it's like sharing with, being vulnerable. We've branded it now when really it's just being honest. And Tyrone Mowbray taught me that. And, you know, just being honest with how you're feeling. And when you share that, suddenly it gives another man an opportunity to offer support. And that in turn makes them feel good, as well as it can hopefully alleviate the stresses and the anxiety that you may be feeling towards life. And yeah, it's
gives you an opportunity to come out of it.
Yeah,
you know, it's like if I'm feeling shit,
it's a paradox.
And you give me something, I'm like, great. Now I don't have to, like you said, the accountability thing. You don't know how I'm feeling. You just give me the answer. I'm like, okay, fair enough. I can just go and do that now.
And if I can see how you said, give me the answer. It's not that you're giving the answer. It's they can give perspective from their own experience, but also they could help you guide you towards your own realization.
Right.
So it's like asking questions where it's like, oh, and then maybe they can relate as well.
Shed
and be
new
like,
light to it.
Yeah. It's like, because no one wants to be told what to do.
Yeah, I like
but they
that.
want to come to their own sort of solution.
Yeah.
And Georgia actually helped me realize that.
Very fair. Like
yeah.
Inception.
Yeah.
Anyway, next question. That was a good one.
We've got a big question here from Joel Bergenen, who's up in the sunny coast. Legend, sup, brother. He's asked a great question. I know Jolie is 23 or 24, so same age as yourself. And he's asked a question which I feel is such a big like hindrance on young men in particular this day and age. It's a triggering question that drives action and gets people asking deeper questions. However, some people can dawn on it too much and allow it to not treat their growth with the respect or you know that they deserve, you know. And that question is ways to find your purpose as a man today. And I think there's this big thing around purpose, and you need as a man to have your purpose, and it's got to be this highly fucking world contributing sort of a thing. And it's I know you'll have a lot to speak on it, and you clearly do as well. I've got my perspective as well.
For sure.
Who wants to go first?
I'm going to start it off because I know you've got a lot to say on it as well. I just believe that if you look at purpose and you take away the big, shiny, world-changing part of it, that's like, fuck, what's my greater purpose? Man, look at your first priority in your life that you want to work on, that you've wanted to work on for a long time, and start there.
I would fucking
start
agree.
there. Start small. Great, you've always wanted to have a better routine in your life. Why? What specifically for? Well, I've actually always just wanted to be more disciplined with my fitness. Cool. Make a fitness routine. Go for runnings. Make it your purpose to make a really good fucking fitness routine.
Correct.
Done. That is now your purpose. And you will feel good telling people about that. You will feel good chasing it. You'll feel good sharing it. Simple. Once you've found like you've become a master of that, you have no idea where that could take you. You might start doing personal training. You might start doing, I don't know, some sort of program. You might start a business. You might write something about it. Whatever. It will take you to the next level, and you can make your next decision. Because when you've got to that height, you've become successful and achieved in that area of your life, then all of a sudden you can go, okay, my horizons have expanded. Now look at the opportunities, and you choose the next best one that you want to do, and you go with that. I think everyone knows what they want to do, and I think purpose is becoming almost like a buzzword in a way, as to like, oh, what's my one thing that I was born on this planet to do? And it's like, man, you already kind of have that. It might literally just becoming a better son, or a better friend.
How about you? What's the one thing I was born here to do? It's like, you were born. You are your purpose. You are the product. Why don't you just invest all your purpose into making yourself the best fucking version of you?
Exactly.
And then and then from that inevitably your greater purpose will spawn.
Exactly. Yeah, I so
Potentially,
agree.
and because like you said, like it's an evolution, like it's always expanding. Your purpose is forever changing.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that the one that you think might be the ultimate purpose is going to be that. So it's just like patience, like your lesson, like it's just that trust. You just trust that you're on the path. You're on path. You're doing everything in your ability, and it will surface so long as you continue to hold that faith and trust in it. Yeah.
Let's go, Adam.
Let's go, Adam.
I think you guys answered pretty well. Like finding purpose, I think that's definitely a thing. It does change. It will change over time. It's not always going to be the same purpose because as you're a child, your purpose is to just learn and grow. As you become like a young man, your purpose is to, expand your mind. As you get older, once you get those things out of the way, okay, I'm looking after myself physically and mentally. I have a sturdy foundation now to go out. I think purpose, say you look at a big warship, like a big massive warship has a lot of components to it. If there's no war to fight, what is it going to do?
What's its purpose now?
There's nothing. So if you are a man you're this big warship, you've crafted your body, your mind, your soul, and you have nothing to do, you'll just sit dormant and be useless almost, So you need to have some kind of thing, some kind of direction that you're moving towards. You need to have some kind of purpose or else you'll sit around dormant. And that, I think, is one of the biggest things that breeds depression, and all these kind of mental issues, mental health issues, because there's no direction for you to go. You're just aimlessly floating in the wind. But why is it so important to have purpose? Is because it gives you something to put all this energy that you have. Because I think as men, we have such huge energy. We have this massive life force. We have this passion. We have this, just from a physiological. We have testosterone flowing through us. It makes us want to, fly to the moon, makes us want to travel into the unknown. But if you don't find direction, you will find unhealthy ways to push through your life force, whether it be, finding danger in gambling and taking unnecessary risks and going out and doing things that give you, unnecessary thrills. So you need to have a purpose to put all your energy into, or else all this energy might either just flow out into unhealthy habits or just sit there bubbling in you, and you'll feel so lost because you have all this energy and all this love to give, but you can't give it to anything. So you need a purpose to follow in a certain direction, and that's always going to change. But I think working with a lot of men on purpose, one of the biggest things that's a pretty common theme is their purposes are all pretty similar. It's to be the best version of themselves. Someone's best version of themselves might be, the healthiest, most jacked, happiest guy, but the best version of me actually helps kids find happy homes, or the best version of me helps pets find happy homes. The best version of me runs the best ever IT company. So if you just look at the best version of yourself and you think, what does the best version of myself do? All right, I'm really healthy, amazing relationships, amazing routine. I am abundantly financially free, and I spend my time learning to become Batman or whatever. So that's your purpose now. It's pretty easy to find that.
You can there's so many directions that gives you so much direction, in terms of your pursuit towards a purpose.
What does the best version of you look like, and what do they do every day? If you sit there and really think about that and why is it important to you, you can find your purpose.
Yeah. It's just chasing after what you want, hey?
That's the big thing. You got to take action, because you might know it. And I think everyone knows it, like deep down. If you just ask yourself over and over again, you know what it is, but you're maybe too scared to act on it. But fuck, you're gonna die at some point, so go act on it.
Totally.
For a free graphic to be made for our page, we're gonna shout out to Blackett Digital. Shout out to George Blackett, lifestyle and content creator, amazing person. Blackett Digital on Instagram. He's gonna create a free graphic for us. If you guys need graphic work or any content and lifestyle creation ideas, BLKTDGTL on Instagram. George, you're a stud.
There's one topic there we've got to answer just quickly. Adam Stamp has said, what in your opinions is the missing link with boys becoming men? This is a good one for you to answer. This is your work.
I reckon the missing link that boys becoming men is they don't have enough. Very simply, I just don't think they have enough male mentors in their life. That's it. I think it's very simple, because boys who hang around lots of other boys that don't know fuck all about life doesn't really get them very far. And if you look at society, like look at all the high school boys going out and hanging out with other high school boys. You know what I mean? More reckless behavior, and not to say that they're bad kids, but they're not learning kids. They're not learning from men in their life. Oh, not sure what that is. Sorry, fellas. Yeah, so I would just say very similar, just because they don't have a men in their life.
Yeah.
If
That's
you look
it.
at
Role
the
models.
hero's journey as well, or like look at any 80s movie, they're always really good to find like advice from. This is weird, but it'll be a young boy will always find some kind of mentor. You know, Rocky,
legit.
Rocky
Yeah.
and his boxing coach, Karate Kid,
Karate
his,
Kid, yeah.
coach. Some young boy will find some kind of mentor, and that's always where you go into the unknown. You find some mentor, and they help you. But also then it's that stepping into the unknown, it's the rite of passage kind of thing. Boys need to leave the home, go out on some big adventure. They need to go take full responsibility for their life.
Yeah.
You know, detach from the womb, leave the mother, and that's when you'll start to see a big shift into maturity.
That's why I think brotherhood is so good. So, or having a mentor, a male mentor, is so good because, and like the female mentors are great too for certain reasons. But I just think young men should have a male mentor or mentors, a community of mentors in their life. For
And
sure.
the mentors could be their father. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Hopefully, it is
Yeah.
the father.
That's the
Hopefully,
biggest hope.
Yeah,
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 Biggest hope
yeah.
is your
Greatest
mentor is your father.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a brilliant answer. I don't want to go any deeper than that for that one. The last one was from Luke Marsden. What is your definition of success?
Well, you want to go first? I know you got.
Well, I had one
Yeah.
there, but I wrote it 2 years ago. But then I've been thinking about it more, and I think it's living in accordance to your values. And so long as you live in accordance to your values, and that is your truth, then there is no way that you are ever living without success.
Yeah.
It's not this thing that is outside of you that is unattainable. It is all within you.
Yeah.
It is
Internal, yeah.
Yeah, it's you know what I mean. It's not. Some people define success as in the physical. This is where we bring ourselves into the
Yeah,
physical
so
with
true.
money.
Yeah.
They go, oh yeah, I'm not successful because I don't have X amount of money. And it's like, well, then clearly you're living without success, which means you're living in lack,
Yes.
which means you're living in a state of desire, which is a lower vibrational frequency of energy. And if you can always believe that you're within success because you're living to your standards, your truth of what you believe is true to you, then you will never find yourself without success. So you always hold yourself in a higher frequency of love and gratitude and joy for yourself. And that's all felt internally. So success is an
agree.
internal feeling, I think, rather than an
agree.
external validation.
I agree. Like, for example, if I run a half marathon and my goals and values are to, be a better runner, and I do this big feat, I'm going to feel great. But if someone else who it's not their goals and values does the half marathon, they might not feel successful at all. So yeah, I agree. Completely internal.
living true to your values and beliefs.
Living true, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, nice.
I
Nice.
like that. I think we should all just stick with that.
Yeah, I reckon it's
On
easy.
that note,
What do you got for us now? You got something else for us, eh?
I think that's a beautiful way to end it up.
Yeah.
This is our first episode back into season 2.
Nice.
We are going to be having beautiful guests,
Yes.
jesters, and
Jesters.
guests.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
with that as well, like maybe people want to wrap off on what's next for Brotherhood, or what do we got in the pipelines. Just real quickly, like, yeah, what do we got cooking, bro?
We've got a lot of things cooking. We are definitely making leaps, bounds, and strides in the men's work community and abroad, meaning overseas. We've got some things in the pipeline that will be able to reach people across the world. We've got major
Hashtag Patreon. One of our greatest strengths that has already been kicked into gear is through this podcast, and we've acquired a beautiful man by the name of Kai Katisi, and he is our social media manager, and just having him on board is going to enable us to thrust so much more energy in terms of feeding our audience and our support crew that are, whether they're in our physical realms here on the Gold Coast or if they're abroad, as you say, Adam, in terms of internationally or interstate, we are now able to get the best quality content to you guys. It's going to be bundled up in a perfect little package with a bow on it. It's, you're going to have so much available on the Instagram, but we're also looking into other platforms where you'll be able to receive more personal sort of content in the forms of like workouts, breathworks, meditations, stuff like that, where you're just going to have access to the Brotherhood community without physically turning up to the sessions, which is just incredible.
an abundance of value delivered perfectly to you.
That's the bow, eh?
That's the bow on
That's
top.
the bow right there.
That's the strawberry on the. Is it a cherry? That's the cherry
Yeah.
on top.
In terms of on the physical premise, we've got. I'm looking at a basketball hoop outside that we're going to hang up on the wall. So you'll be able to
Major moves.
So you'll be able to do slam dunks in your interim between when you have your study break from working in the office next door or the business suite, as we're calling it, the Brotherhood Business Suite, then you'll be able to jump in and do a podcast or something like that. And then you'll be able to go out and smash and lift some weights. We're surrounded by extremely abundant, thriving men. And we've also invested into a coaching program, which is going to help see us acquire more leads. So as Brotherhood stands today, we haven't done any paid advertising. So now that we're actually going to thrust some energy in the forms of money into growing our infrastructure
Spreading our
and
message, growing
yeah,
our
growing our message
infrastructure.
and the mission, we're hoping to see copious amounts of men coming in from all walks of life, looking to up-level, up-regulate, upgrade their lives and become the best version of themselves and the best man they can possibly be.
Copious
Nice.
amounts.
Yeah, that's my word today, isn't it?
I love it.
Love it, yeah.
Well,
Cato Sibthorpe, what do you got on the pipelines as well, bro?
Oh, lots of exciting stuff. Potential new agreements with some schools coming out this year. Movement Academy is hopefully going to be residual very soon, which is exciting.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then that's the reason why it's like as well, like, yeah, we did birth Brotherhood and now you've dived into that, but we're still collaborating. Like that's the thing here, you know, the collaboration
100%.
is key, and your purpose aligns with like in helping young men through school is going to help as becoming better men. It's still our
100%.
purposes align, like missions align,
100%.
and so
Absolutely.
that's how it's such a reciprocal nature and it makes perfect sense to get involved in business together and
Absolutely.
support each other.
Absolutely.
So it just makes perfect sense to have you here.
Awesome.
And makes perfect
Collaboration
sense
is
to
good.
have you here as
Collaborating.
well,
Happy
brother.
to be back.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Happy to have you here.
Mm.
We're just getting started.
We're just
Yeah,
getting
that's
started.
right.
We're just getting started.
That's
We got
right, baby.
big things coming. Stay tuned. Make sure you follow the Instagram. Make sure you like and comment on all the reels because we're trying to put a lot more effort into content. So let's see you. Tell us how you feel about it. If you hate it, let us know. If you love it, let us know. If you're unsure about what's going on, let us know.
Always here to improve. From all
Nice
of us,
one.
yeah, nice one.
Little
nice
air
one, brother.
five.
Yeah, nice one.
Good stuff.
From all of us here on the Brotherly Love podcast, we thank you for tuning in, and we look forward to spitfiring more of these into your airwaves. Make sure you give the podcast on the whatever platform you're listening to a thumbs up in terms of a like. Give us a follow. Give us a 54-star rating, and if you're feeling generous, give us a 55. And yeah, we look forward to seeing you in the next one. I'm Guy Anderson,
I'm Adam Green.
I'm Cato Sibthorpe.
and we will see you next time. Thanks so much. Ciao.
Awesome.